Does that work? If anyone can see me, can they write something? Because I've never done that live streaming thing, so not really. Seems like it's working. Oh yeah. How are you guys? So far we have Outsync and Claude Beauchaton. So I'm gonna speak in English, even though I'm French, because most people are gonna be obviously English speaker. So I'm gonna do everything in English. Yeah, hopefully everyone can understand. And I might speak a little bit French if there's a couple of French questions, or Spanish maybe. So we'll see. So anyone wants to start with a question? So I have a first question from Angelo. For a professional rider like you who does not compete in World Cup or Enduro World Series, where does the earnings for living come from? So that's a really good question. So basically, you can make money in the bike industry doing different things. You can obviously race. You can compete in slopestyle or freeride events, or you can promote your brand by creating content. So I guess that's what I'm doing right now. I still do some selective events and races. I've been invited at Rampage 4 times. I've done countless of urban downhill. So all this is great exposure for brands, but another way to do it is to produce content. So basically videos, all the stuff you see on Instagram and YouTube, this is a value for brands because it shows a professional rider using their product. So that's what I do. And most of mine comes, 95% of mine, basically 100% of mine comes come from sponsorship. So every brand I promote, I have a work relationship with those brands, and I basically provide content, exposure, product feedback. I do a lot of testing as well for brands, and all this in exchange of a salary. So that's how I make a living. That's a really good question, actually, because many people assume I make money from YouTube, where the money I make from YouTube is, basically pocket money. It's really small. So 95%, 100% are coming from sponsors. So I'm very thankful to have all those brands behind me that I've been working with for, some of them a long time, and that allowed me to do that as a full-time job. So I have another question from Just Ride. What do you think about tire inserts? I think they have the advantages, definitely, in terms of support for your tire. You can run a bit lower pressure. You can be a bit more, I guess, comfortable when you ride and confident because you're less risky to have a mechanical with your wheels. That being said, it's heavier and it's rotating weight. So when you move the bike in the air, you can feel that weight when you pedal, obviously. And one of the big problem I have with it is how annoying it is to install. And for the riding I do with the current product I use, I don't feel like I need it. I don't have any issue with reliability. The only advantage I could see right now with it will be the damping. So basically, when you use a tire insert, you have a piece of foam inside your tires that kind of creates more progressivity on your tire. So you get like some, soft dampening on like the small impact on top. So you get a good grip, but then on big hits, you get more support for your tire. So this is definitely an advantage, but it comes with a disadvantage, which is the weight, and basically you have to install the tire, which is, it's not a big deal, but it's definitely not something I enjoy doing. And I don't feel the need so far. Everything has been really good with my setup without it. So I haven't planned to use it anytime soon, especially for where I live. If I was living in a different part of the world where it's like just sharp edge rock, I might consider it. But as of right now, I don't. So actually, there's a ton of questions. So I'm gonna try to keep up with everything. Are you interested about enduro World Series or enduro competition, or don't you care about competition? To be honest, I don't have fun competing. I don't really see myself doing any competition. From a sponsorship point of view, competing is only worth it if you are at the highest level and if you're competing for podium, which won't be my case. You need to be super committed with your training, and you need to focus on that. And I'm not wanting to do that, and I don't think I can be competitive on that. So I don't plan on doing it. I might in the future do some very fun enduro racing, like blind, kind of like blind enduro style, but like, kind of low-key races, like purely for fun. Hey Remy, I have always struggled with jumping, gets me scared. How can I safely learn on loose fear? Should I be practicing trail jump or search for a pump dirt track? So that's a good question. That's from Juan Jose Hernandez. I guess like any kind of progression, you want to take it easy and you want to make sure you learn the basics. So the first thing you can do is focus on your riding technique and on your body position before moving to actual jumping. So make sure that you can control properly every basic skill required for jumping or any other thing you want to learn. And once you master this technique, then you can progressively move on to doing bigger jumps and bigger jumps. But you want to take your time and you want to make sure that you have the basic technique absolutely perfect. And that way you're gonna eliminate the kind of the fear, or you're gonna control it, and you're gonna most importantly limit the risk of crashing and injuring yourself, which if you do, it's gonna slow down your progression. So learn the basics and take your time. I have a message now from Jack Labarge. I use the same pedal as you. Good ones. So I use the Time Special 12 on basically all my bikes. I have 2 new prototypes that I can't really show right now. But just keep an eye on it because it's pretty interesting. So a question now from Harley. I don't know how you pronounce your name. How do you handle all the different stuff, filming, marketing, etc.? Where does your knowledge comes from? Do you have a support from marketing department, etc.? Cube question mark. It's a really good question. So no, I don't have any support from brands to help me with my marketing or social media. I do receive like the basic brand guidelines that any brand will send to their athletes, just to make sure they use the same marketing that what the brand wants. I actually just got an email from Cube, but it's very it's kind of very wide. It's more like common sense than anything else, and it's targeted to all of the riders, to make sure that the riders that are not super knowledgeable about self-promotion and brand image and are doing things correctly. But on my side, I've done so. Before being a professional mountain biker, I used to go to school, and I graduated from a business school, and so I have a degree in international business and marketing. At the time, though, I did that, social media was still quite new. Obviously, you had Facebook, and Instagram was basically just starting, but no one took it seriously yet. And so I guess I learned some good basics at school, and that was very important. But to come back to your question, I do everything myself. Every idea I have, every filming, every marketing, every post I do, everything comes from me. My girlfriend has been a great help because she's from the UK, so her English is better than mine. And she's not a mountain biker at all. She doesn't have any sort of interest for mountain biking. So I often ask her point of view from someone outside of the bike industry. So her point of view is really valuable, and she does help me to correct some mistake I will do with English not being my first language. But that's about it. So this one is in French. I'm gonna translate it. Oh, I lost it. Wow, that's a lot of question. I'm gonna need to speed it up a bit. Sorry. When did you start downhill? I basically got my first Freeride bike when I was, I believe, 16 years old. But I started to actually ride downhill, so with chairlift access a bit later on. At first, I was just building jumps close by my house. I have a question from Jensen USA. So Jensen is actually one of my main partners this year. So Jensen, if you don't know them, is an online bike shop. They deliver wherever you want in the world, and they sell most of the brand I write for. And so they've been great, and they support a lot of my videos I produce on YouTube, which is really helpful. And on all of my videos, when you go in the description, there is a link. If you click on that link and if you purchase something from Jensen USA, that supports my channel. So please make sure to do it. That's really helpful, especially on the difficult time. So stuck to doing this, what is the most common riding errors that you see people doing, and how should they correct it to improve? It's a good question. I think so. When I sit on the side of the trail and I see people riding by, I'll say the most common mistake I see is people don't look far enough. When you ride your bike, you want to look really ahead so you can anticipate everything. It's the same on, basically any sport that involves driving. Just look ahead so you can anticipate. If you can anticipate because you look ahead, you can have the correct body position for whatever is coming next. So if you look ahead and you see a left-hand corner, you can set up correctly so you can open your line and make a nice corner while having the correct bike position. If you look just at your stand and the corner is coming, you're gonna brake too late, you won't have the right trajectory, and you won't have the right body position. So make sure to look ahead. That's the main thing. Second thing, I think people try to go too fast or do trails too hard for their technical abilities. So one thing that's really good is to work on your basics. Any rider, whether you're a pro rider or a beginner, you should be working on your basics. So as of right now, which is a quiet time with the coronavirus, I'm gonna be working on super basic skills that I used to do a lot, and now I kind of forget because I try to go faster. So I'm gonna focus on basic skill, and I invite you to do the same, because that's gonna be the best way to progress and avoid making mistakes on the trail. How did you start riding? So I was basically 16 years old. What do you think of heavy bikes over 16 kilo? I don't think the weight of a bike is crucial. Actually, a heavier bike usually performs better going downhill because it's more stable, and a heavier bike usually means that you have heavier tires, which perform better to go downhill. So that usually means that the bike is gonna be easier to control at high speed because it's not gonna move as much. So I really don't mind a heavy bike. Obviously, a lighter bike is easier to pedal, but I'm focusing on going downhill, and I would prefer to have a bike that performs the best. Yo, Remy, what's your favorite backcountry beer? You know what? Stay here. Here you go. That's the backcountry Trailbreaker. That's a pale ale. I love the Widowmaker as well. I love IPS. And what I love with backcountry is obviously the local brewery from Squamish, and they've been helping me out. But before they helped me out, I used to buy their beer all the time. They basically come out with a new beer every week. So always new stuff. But when I have beer with friends, dinner at home, or when I go there, I usually go either for the Trailbreaker or for an IPA. Are you planning on riding Red Bull Rampage? Well, I'd love to go back. Actually, my plan was to go in April in Utah to do a video and try to get my own freeriding style, like super raw, natural feature. Unfortunately, that's not happening with the current situation, and I don't know how Rampage it's gonna turn. But I will for sure try to go back, and I will also focus on doing a proper freeride video, hopefully soon. What about a trail edit with all the new line and stats you built? Well, that's a good question from Mathias Chauffour, which is French. So I'm gonna reply in English because I know he speaks English. Yes, that's planned. I had planned a video with basically the best trail riding I could come up with, and all the best gnarliest feature I could do. Obviously, with the current situation, everything is on hold. But as soon as the situation improves, I will go and film that. I've already the filmer lineup, and I already know what I'm gonna do. And I'm actually gonna use the time of the coronavirus to check out more trails and see if I see any new feature I would like to add. So keep an eye for that. It was supposed to come up for end of April, beginning of May. Now it's gonna be a bit later, but it will come up. Do you have video projects where you will ride with other riders? A bit like with Jackson, but around the world. Yes, trail previews. So just like the previous one I've done with Jackson Goldstone, the ones I've done with Kirk McDowell is something I'm really focusing on this year. I had a bunch of projects lined up. I've been invited to go to Australia, Italia, everywhere in BC, in Quebec as well. Unfortunately, with the current situation, everything is in standby once again, but it's definitely something I'm going to be working on in the near future. So keep an eye on it. And the only reason I'm not going to do in the near future is because of the social distance. But as soon as this is over, I'll get back on it. Would you consider coming to Africa for a trail preview? I have been invited to Morocco, and so we'll see. Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I went to Morocco in the past. It's North Africa, obviously, and there is plenty more. I've never been to South Africa. It could be very interesting. So we'll see. As of right now, every project is in standby, and I'm sure you understand why. But yeah, I'd love to do it. Please make more videos on the e-bike from Cube. So it's funny, I got that question like literally a few minutes ago on Instagram, and my e-bike is downstairs getting built. I was just missing one product, and UPS is supposed to deliver it today. So keep an eye for that as well. Hopefully, I'll have the bike built tonight, and I'll go for a first ride tomorrow. Thanks for the advice. Okay, I'm glad the advice helped out. Tips on fast cornering. So for cornering, it really depends. If you look at my last video on Instagram, I'm doing two berms, and because there is a support, it's berms that you can use quite fast. But same as I already said, look red as the first tip, and then it was two berms with a good support. So what I did is that I come with my feet flat on the pedal, and so I can evenly push on the pedal to get some traction and also create some pop and speed with the bike. On really fast flat cornering, I put my outside foot at the bottom so I can create more grip. Just like when you ski, you put always more weight on your outside ski than on the inside. You basically don't put any weight on the inside. Everything is on the outside foot. So that's what I do on fast cornering, but looking ahead and making sure you have the right line. The fastest line and the safest line is very important. Usually fast cornering means that you take an outside line. That also means that because you are on the outside of your corner, you don't have any margin if you make a mistake. Whereas when you're inside on a corner, if something goes wrong, usually you have a little bit of space to correct, which you don't on a fast corner. So it's very important to look ahead and make sure you have your line super dialed. Do you use clips or flats from MaxDu? I use both. I mostly use flats. I mostly use clips, but I'm getting back to riding flats a little bit just to come back and relearn the basics. Because after being so many years on so many years on clip pedals, you kind of forget how to do some stuff that you learn to do with flat pedals. So I'm gonna go back with flat pedals just so I can keep up my riding technique. There is way more questions than I was expecting. So let me just try to keep up with that. I unfortunately missed some because the live chat updated. Oh, there's Cube Bikes. Hi, Cube Bikes. So Cube obviously is my frame sponsor. I ride, basically every bike they make, from the e-bike to there are two trail bikes, which is the Cube Stereo 150 and the 170. I have one road bike on my home trainer here. I have another one downstairs, which is Lightning. What do I have? I have the downhill bike, the 215, the Flying Circus, which is the dirt jumper bike. I even have a commuter bike that I used to go and do the groceries. So yeah, great. Check out their website. They've got basically frames for everyone. That's a question. It's in French. It's from Vincent Hyde. I'm gonna translate it in English, but basically, I have the feelings that freeride is becoming slopestyle with big bike. What do you think? Well, when you look at Rampage now, in order to win, you need to make a run that has tricks. So it looks like slopestyle, but if you go to Rampage, you will realize that it's still big mountain freeride. It's still very exposed, and it's just like skiing. At first, freeride skiing was just doing big drops, gnarly slopes, but now the riders are able to trick basically every single jump they do. And so that's part of the evolution. So I think some lines are too polished, and I think some of the rider go a bit too far from the actual free riding and forget to do like proper raw riding. But overall, I think it's still free ride. What's your favorite spot to eat out in Squamish? That's a good question. Backcountry Brewery, they have great pizza, but also they have great health food now. They have that bowl called, can't remember how it's called actually. I think it's called Super Bowl or Health Bowl or something like that, which is basically quinoa, cauliflower, hummus, beetroots, and it's really good. I usually take that. I like the Indian place as well because we eat a lot of Indian food. And I like Saha as well, which is downtown Vancouver, that does really good Middle Eastern food. Jake Whistler, how do you make a living of being a media athlete? As I mentioned before, sponsors. So I have brands like Cube, Jensen, DVO, Rotor, E13, One Up Components, KMC, Fly Racing, Camelback, that pay me a salary in order to provide them content, visibility, but also, and it's very important, I do a lot of product testing. So I help out companies to test and develop products. So I come up with testing and feedback on the current product, but also on the first prototype before the product is actually produced for sale. And I also come up with ideas to make, whenever I have an idea, I think a product could be interesting for the market, I pitch it to the company and hopefully they work on it. And so that's where that's where my income comes from. What football team do you support? I don't think I ever watched one single soccer match, unfortunately. Trying to keep up with the question. Like, I don't know if you can have I don't know on your screen if you see the number of questions, but that's quite a lot. So I'm trying to. What is your favorite song for a mountain biking edit? Finding a song is so hard that most of my edits are raw because I can't be bothered finding a song. I also apparently have terrible music taste. I listen some basically, super club dance girly music, and so that would not fit really well with a bike edit. Do you think COVID-19 is going to affect the opening of Whistler? Unfortunately, I think it will affect the opening of the Whistler Bike Park, which is why we have to maintain strict social distance and respect whatever the government is asking us to do, so that way we can put the virus into the past and move on with that. Another question from Jensen: if you could recommend only one component upgrade, what is the best place to start? That's a good question. I guess every bike is different. If you buy a complete bike from any brand, usually the first thing I will change are bars and stem, because this is really personal, and I like to have bars and a stem that matches what I like. So right now I'm riding the One Up bars and stem, 35mm stem, and the bar are in 35mm rise, which is for me extremely important. So whatever bike I ride the same bars. And so I guess for me, that would be the first thing I would change if I was buying any bike on the market, would be stem and the bars. Obviously pedals as well, but most bike come without pedals. Backcountry Brewery is asking me, what's your favorite style of beer for post-ride? Actually, second time I got the question, but look, Backcountry, this one, the one you just gave me last week. So the Trailbreaker Pale Ale, and also a big fan of the IPA. Which body weight exercise would you recommend to stay fit during this time? That is exercises you can do without equipment. I guess core exercise is what you can do without equipment. So push-ups, plank, abs. If you can set up a TRX in your home or garage, it's really good, because you can do some kind of assisted pull-ups, and I find that really useful. It's really good for your core. You can do pistol squat with it, and without any equipment you can do squats, pistol squats if you want to go fancy. You can also do jumps. You could jump on the table or something. But the one thing I think that I'm doing right now is I try to do yoga and stretching, because it's not something I've done enough in the past, and so I'm taking that time to focus on it and hopefully get a bit more mobility. So Sam, it's a question. I'm gonna translate in English. Hey Remy, blah blah blah. What do you think of the Ergun seats? And do you have a discount code with them? So no, I don't have any discount code with Ergun. You can purchase Ergun on Jensen USA using the link in the description of my videos, and that will support my channel. But for you, for a discount, unfortunately, I don't have anything. I love the Ergun seats. I've been actually in France working with Alex, which is part of the R&D, so research and development for Ergun, while I was in France, and we've been testing some new seats, and they're really passionate about the product, and they really put a lot of work and effort on testing and developing. I get basically, one, I don't know how you call that in English, but questionnaire, I guess would be the word. Basically a big document with a ton of questions. So I get a prototype seat, and then I have to write it. And then I get a massive document from Janina, which is head of research and development at Ergun, with a ton of questions. And so they're really passionate, and they really want to make that product the best possible. Even when the product are, I think, already amazing, they still want to find a way to improve it. So yeah, it's been great, and the new SM Enduro seat is absolutely amazing, with the old slick rails as well. You should check it out. It's really good. It's got a lot of clearance. So if you're a smaller rider and you ride a 29er trail bike with a long travel, it's really good, because that way your seat doesn't buzz on the tire, which has been a problem for me in the past. So now I no longer have the issue. Who's your favorite rider? Well, there's a ton of really talented guys out there. I mean, it's hard to name only a few, but basically anyone that's making the sport progress, that stays humble, and that has positive impact on the community. So just to name a few, Loic Bruni, is I guess a good example. So if you see me, Loic, good luck with your World Cup season. Hopefully it's gonna happen, so you can keep that jersey on your shoulder. So I had a question I just missed. Wow. In your bike build, I noted you have fairly narrow bars. Have you widened your bars recently as it's just becoming more common, or have you stuck with what you know? No, I think my bars have been the same length for as long as I've been riding downhill, basically. I remember back in the day, I got a specialized demo in 2010, which was my first proper downhill bike. No, actually, before that, yeah, no, I guess my first real downhill bike was an Atomic, Norco Atomic, still kind of freeride. Like, well, I guess the Specialized demo was the first one I got in 2010, and I had 750 millimeter bars, and I think it at the time it was wide, but for me it fitted good. I felt good on it, and yeah, I stuck to with that. Sometimes I go to 755, 760 at the most, but I prefer to have 750 bars, and if I need to make them slightly wider, I can move my grip up to like 2-3 millimeter outside. And the Ergun grip have the end cap built into the grip, so that adds an extra 5 millimeter on each side. So on my downhill bike right now, I'm 750 millimeter, which actually makes it 760 with the grip on. But basically, any grip on the market, whether it's ODI rental, you always have your grip sticking out a little bit. So if you run a 750, you actually end up having 760. So yeah, I've stuck with the same on my. So basically, the way I set up is the higher I am on the bike, the wider I want my bars, so that way I have more leverage and more strength compared to the distance with the front axle. So if I was on a cross-country bike or a smaller trail, like a smaller trail bike, I'll be slightly narrower because the distance with the ground will be shorter. So on my downhill bike and my latest trail bike, the Tiro 170, I'm slightly lower on the 170 from the ground. So I have, my bars are like slightly shorter than like 745 or 748 plus the grip. And on my Tiro 150, where I'm slightly lower because the fork is only 160 millimeter travel instead of the 180, I run basically 740, so plus the grip, which is like 750. So trying to keep, I keep refreshing the screen. That's kind of annoying. Do you think it's good to ride always on a downhill or an enduro? I think the best rider in the world are the ones that are able to ride a different kind of bike. I think that makes you more versatile with your riding to be able to ride different bikes. So I try to spend as much time as I can on each bike. Actually, even my dirt jumper bike that I don't use enough, so I can just keep my skill progressing and I don't lose any skill. It's for example, when I used to be in France before moving to Canada, I sold all my bikes and the only bikes I kept was my four-cross bike. And at the time, I was waiting for my visa to come to Canada, and I had one bike left, which was that four-cross bike. And so all I was doing was riding the BMX track, and I became pretty good at it. And then I didn't touch again that bike for basically years. When I came to Canada, I'll use it once or twice a year. And so I lost a lot of skill from BMX riding. So now that's one of the things I'm going to be working on is get back that skill so I can keep progressing. Do you play an instrument? If so, can you play a song? I get that. Yeah, I don't know if you can call that playing an instrument, but that's my girlfriend's guitar, and I heard smart people have a guitar in their house, so I do have one, so I can pretend I'm a musician, but I absolutely can't play anything. What would you consider a skilled mountain biker? A skilled mountain biker for me is someone that has all the basics required for mountain biking. So, cornering, reading the terrain, jumping, trial skills. It's someone that's going to be really complete in their riding. And in order to become really good. All the best rider you can name, I think, in the world are all extremely complete, and that's to me that's the most important point. So what other question do we have? How long have you been biking? So I started basically when I was 16 years old. I've been biking before my whole life, but I've focused on mountain biking basically when I was 16. Hi Remy, talking about training for enduro racing, by your experience, what is a better training for combined explosivity and endurance in the gym and on the bike? Thanks. Bye from Italy. So if you're from Italy, our situation is gonna improve soon. So I'm not a trainer. I'm not a coach. I don't really have any knowledge. I go to the gym because I want to stay fit and healthy and be able to ride every day with limiting injuries. For explosivity, I found out that jumps are really good. So if you can mix squats and jumps, for example, so you can do heavy squat where you go down slow and then you try to explode. So you train your body to go fast. Basically you train your body to go fast, and so that's what you do when you jump. You kind of squat down and then you explode to jump. So I found that really good. And for endurance at the gym, I don't really do any of that, to be honest. I do the endurance just by riding on the bike. Obviously, if you want to perform at the highest level, you need to do it more than just on the bike. But interval training, I think, is really good. If you can do a circuit training and do that for quite a while and get your heart rate up and down, I think it's gonna be really helpful for you, and it's gonna be probably the best kind of training for enduro racing. Have you ever been riding in Great Britain? No, I haven't. I actually have never been to the UK except at the airport. So this question is in French, but I'm gonna translate it. Why did you choose to go to Canada, and what are the differences with France? So when I was in school, I studied as a business school. I've done what's called, it's not called an internship, it's called an apprenticeship, where you basically work 3 weeks in a company and you do 1 week at school. So 3 weeks on, 1 week at school. And that was really good because I paid my studies, because business school are really expensive. So everything was paid. But by doing that, I didn't get to travel and get an experience outside of France. And so I wanted to find an excuse to go in an English-speaking country so I could gain some experience and obviously ride my bike as well. So Whistler was, a pretty obvious destination for biking and for skiing, which is my hobby as well. And my best friend had been to Whistler in the past, and he had always told me that as soon as he could go back to Canada, he would. And one day he messaged me, he's like, I just applied for my visa, I'm going back to Canada. And me, I had 1 year left at school. So I finished school, and as soon as I finished, I applied for a visa to go to Canada. So I mostly went for biking and skiing. And yeah, I completely fell in love right away with the country, love the people. So yeah, it's been an easy choice. Obviously, I love France, and France is, I believe, a great country. There's so much to offer. Like, quality of life is really good in France, and people in France really don't have much to complain about, because life in France is pretty good. I feel like Canada suits me better for what I like to do and what I do as a job. So that's why I'm here, and I'm planning to stay forever. So unless I get kicked, but we'll see. What is your nationality? So I'm French. What's your all-time favorite bike movie? It's a good question. I don't watch bike movie anymore, but I think what really got me into riding was the New World Disorder series. So I think the first one I watched actually was New World Disorder 4. I also love the racing videos, so like Earth, and there's one from Clay Porter called Between the Tape or something like that. Now, what's the name of it? Anyway, yeah, I think that's the one that had the biggest impact on me. A lot of questions are actually quite the same, which is pretty interesting. Hey, is entering in Kids Works Whistler events a good way to improve and get used to races and I guess get noticed? Well, yeah, I guess, the sooner you're gonna start racing, the more chance you have to, like, the more experience you're gonna gain, the more comfortable you're gonna be with dealing with pressure of racing and with expectation. So I guess the earlier you start, the better it would be. Remy, have you ever ridden in Mexico? I actually used to live in Mexico for 2 or 3 winter because I didn't have my parents' residence in Canada. I had to leave the country, and the closest, best place I could go from Canada was Mexico. And so I met great people in Mexico, and I love going back to Mexico. And I used to stay in Guadalajara, so I could basically ride every day, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, I got a message from Eward Built. Thanks, Jensen USA, for your quick shipping. Just got my package to do a lower leg service. So happy customer. You have a problem with dropper post one during this time? No, I don't. I don't have any single issue with reliability with the one-up dropper post, and I love their post because it comes in different sizes, and it's electricity might be going off. Yeah, and I love that post because I'm riding the 180, and 180 millimeter is too much travel for me, so I can turn it down to 160, and this is really a key feature for me. It's also super minimal adjustment, and I love the feel on the lever, and I haven't had any single issue. So yeah, no, extremely happy, and nothing to report so far. How to get confidence in rough terrain from Cloud is Trash. Rough terrain are pretty hard to get confident at because they're scary, because if you crash, they hurt. Rough terrain is where bike setting matters the most, I believe. It's easy to have your bike dialed when you ride an easy trail. You just have to have the right tire pressure and the bike that's supportive enough. But on rough terrain, you want a bike that is going to be supportive, but at the same time, you want a bike that's going to be very comfortable, and a bike that's going to track really well. So I guess in order to get comfortable rough terrain, same as always, look ahead, pick up the best line, pick up the smoothest line, the fastest line, and the line is the most comfortable with. Also, make sure your basics are good and work on your bike settings. Bikes are actually quite technical. People put a lot of time into engineering and designing the bikes. Same for the suspension. There is a lot of settings. It's not you just buy a bike and then you go ride it. You have to learn how to set it up, and most importantly, you have to understand how the bike works and what every setting does. So get confidence with your bike settings as well. I think it's an important advice. You can check out on this channel. I've done several videos where I talk about bike settings. So have a look and let me know if you have any questions. Between the Tape, yes, that's a movie from Clay Porter. I was looking at, I believe there's a segment from, Jensen as well says Between the Tape, yeah. So I guess my memory isn't that bad. So, how old were you when you got your first sponsor? And how did that happen? I guess my first sponsor ever was not a proper sponsor, but I bought my first bike at a bike shop called NTC, which stands for Nathalie Tony Cycle, in the south of France. And so I bought my first bike, my first proper bike there. And the next, I guess, couple years after, 3 years after maybe, I bought another bike there, and I approached them. I wanted to start doing some racing and start doing some pictures, and I was very beginner at the time, but I tried to have a professional approach. And I basically told the guys that I would love to purchase a bike at their bike shop and promote the bike shop. At the time, co-factory was something you could see in France. So it's basically, teenagers, young adults that promote a bike shop, promote a brand, and in exchange they get like a discount on bike. So I remember getting 30% of the bike, and I purchased a bike. And I remember I had my jersey with the logos on, and I was just trying my best to promote the bike shop, make sure that anyone who want to purchase the same brands and I was riding would go to that bike shop. And that's how I started. And I tried to have a professional approach, and from there it went really slow at first. But then I made some super amateur video, but I was trying to be super professional when I was doing it. And so I've been doing that, and I guess that was my first partner. First proper sponsor, I think, is when I got to Canada. I had heard that Shimano was looking for someone to promote the Z group, which is kind of the entry-level freeride group. And so I've been in touch with Elodie from which is a salesperson from Shimano BC. And she helped me out through a shop, and that's pretty much how it started. And but my first proper sponsor, I guess, was Commensal. That's the first time I got actual free frames and a little bit of support. And my first paid sponsor ever was Raceface. That was a pretty funny story because they messaged me. I'd been trying to be in touch with Raceface forever. They never replied to me. And Brett TP one day went to the office and told the guys at Raceface, "Hey, you need to sponsor this guy." And they messaged me, and I met, and I thought they were just gonna offer me a few products, and they actually offered me a paycheck, which was really small at the time. But in my head, I was like, why would those guys pay me? I don't deserve it. And so I guess Raceface was a proper first paid sponsor. It's a lot more question. Wow, it's going too fast. Slow down. After this pandemic corona, you should come to Bandung, Indonesia. There is a beautiful mountain, Bandung, which is you can ride your bike there. Very awesome, I guarantee that. Yeah, I've never been in this part of the world, so I'd love to check it. Bonnie's Elbow tells me favorite trail in Squamish. So are you the person that built Bonnie's Elbow? If so, I have to say that Bonnie's Elbow is a trail I really enjoy to ride in Squamish. I usually do End Trail, Bonnie's Elbow, and then I link up to Guranga. So if you build Bonnie's Elbow, thanks a lot. Favorite trail in Squamish? There is a lot. Depends what I'm gonna do on a day. With the current situation with the coronavirus, where I have to take it down, I'm not gonna do any Guranga. I'm not gonna do any any sketchy trails. I'm gonna stick to nice, flowy, easy stuff. I guess I'm gonna do Pamplemousse from James from Ride BC. Built that. So Pamplemousse is really fun. I'm gonna stick to mostly blue trails and just have fun on it. But when last year, for example, I guess Sauerkraut was one of my favorite trails. I love Chaussee Slabs. I went recently, I've done that video, you should check it out, with Jackson Goldstone. We filmed Unrelated Dead Guys to somewhere over there. That was a few weeks ago. I really liked Unrelated Dead Guys. It's super fun. There's a lot of cool little feature. Not high consequence. I really enjoy it. What else do I like in Squamish? Pleasure Trail. Pleasure Trail is really fun. I'll go and do it again soon. And Ditch Pig. I like Ditch Pig. It's fun. It's fast. Yeah, it's all good trails. Obviously, it's Squamish. So, question. So, Um, 27.5. Oh, so I'm confused with that question. My favorite bike cleaner for bikes, I'm currently using WD-40, so their bike wash, their lube, as well as their grease. So the bike wash works really good, and probably the favorite product they have is the degreaser. It's super easy. You just spray it on your drivetrain, let it sit for a few minutes, and then rinse it off, and then it's all clean. And a clean transmission is really important. First of all, it will make your transmission last longer, but also your transmission will perform better, and your bike will be more quiet. Do you speak Italian? No, I don't. I speak Spanish, English, and French, but not Italian. I might know a few words here and there, but that's about it. What jobs were you planning on doing before being a pro mountain biker? That's a question from Timothée Cheab. So I studied business and marketing, and my dream job was gonna be to be basically product manager. So product manager is a person that works, in marketing with engineer to think of what product will sell and how to sell it, basically. And so this is what I was trying to do, and that's what I studied. And when I came to Canada, that's basically what I wanted to do. So I applied for a bunch of jobs with all the companies from Vancouver area, so Rocky Mountain, Norco, Raceface, and I was trying to get a marketing job. I guess at the time my studies were really good, but even though it's a really good business school in France, I realize now that it doesn't transfer really well into North America. It's very European, and North America doesn't really pay as much attention to schools from overseas. So that didn't help as much as I thought it would. And the other thing, I think my English was too weak at the time to get a job like that. But I ended up being a biker, so that's okay. I'll probably come back, in a few years maybe, to work in the bike industry and do some marketing, maybe some consulting for companies. And as I have experience as a professional mountain biker, I think that could be interesting for some companies. So tomorrow is my birthday. Please wish me so happy birthday, YouTube Gold. Have you ever ridden in Ardèche? So Ardèche is a province from France, basically. No, I haven't. Not as I can remember. I'd like to go though. It looks really beautiful. I've been to Ardèche, but not for biking. Why did you make the move from Whistler to Squamish? That's a very good question from Ram Radek. So basically, I've been in Whistler for years, and I really enjoyed Whistler. I was about to buy a place in Whistler. Last minute, the plan fell through, and I realized that financially it was not a smart choice at the time. I think the prices were, way too expensive, and I had never looked into Squamish. And last minute, so that plan in Whistler basically failed, and I was really burned, and I needed to find a new place as well because my lease was gonna run out, and I was just not happy in the place I was renting. It was too small. I could not, properly receive friends, which I really enjoy. Like I love. Well, obviously not right now with the coronavirus, but we have plenty of dinner parties at my place all the time, and I started to look for something else, and I looked at Squamish. And when I saw what I could afford in Squamish for the exact same price I was going to spend in Whistler, it was just, no brainer. So I quickly made the move to Squamish, and it's the best move the best choice I've ever done. I think I'm extremely happy. I have a great place, great neighborhoods, and obviously the trails are right there. I can ride more than I used to in Whistler. I still ski as much, pretty much, because I only ski when the snow is good anyway. So I only go up when it's worth it. So it's been incredible. I've been extremely happy in Squamish. I love the community. I love all the cool businesses around, and I love the population more than in Whistler. Whistler is super fun and it's great, and who knows, maybe one day I'll go back there. But it's a bit like too young, and there's too much turnover with people. It's people coming for a short time and a good time, and I guess I'm I like to settle more and have the same friends, and not have people flipping over all the time. But obviously I'll keep going in the summer and ride a lot Whistler if the coronavirus situation improves, which I truly hope it would. Do you ride motocross as well? No, I don't. I used to have one, and the risk was not worth it. So right now I'm riding trials moto. So I get a lot of enjoyment from it. It transfers better to mountain biking, and it's also super low speed, and it's way lower consequence. Obviously, you can still get hurt like any sport, but it's much lower consequence than motocross. Bonnie's Elbow. Have you ridden the trails that I built in Britannia? So I don't know whose Bonnie Elbow is on YouTube. Is it? I have an idea of who that could be. Yes, I've done some riding in Britannia, and it's incredible. And thank you for building the trails up there, because it's really fun. There's plenty of trails, bike trail. Obviously, it's secret access, and I won't disclose where any of those are. But for the one who know, usually they know. What's your favorite place in British Columbia for riding? Squamish, Whistler, Pemberton. So Sea to Sky corridor. I guess that's why I live here. Would you want to ride with Brage? So obviously I know who Brage is, but I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Vestavik. Brage Vestavik. Yeah, Brage Vestavik is probably one of the most talented riders out there. He seems like he's learning a new trick every single day. And yeah, I've actually chatted with him to do a trail preview if we can connect our schedule together, and that will be awesome. He's an incredible rider. So hopefully that can happen one time. You think about coming to Argentina? I actually went to Argentina in 2016 and 2016, yeah, and that was a lot of fun. I absolutely loved it, and I'd love to go back. Have you come to ride Coast Gravity Park here on Sunshine Coast? Yes, I actually did some photo with Thomas Vanderham for One Up Components 3-4 weeks ago, and I had planned to go back and do some videos there. I've done a video at the Coast Gravity Park last year. You can check it. It was on my downhill bike. There's a bunch of couple of new gaps and some whips and scrubs, and a lot of fun. I plan on going back to the Coast Gravity Park and ride with my friend Forrest Riesco, which is a World Cup rider. He has a bunch of incredible trail, and we're supposed to do some trail previews. Obviously, everything is in standby due to the coronavirus, but it will happen. I haven't seen you ride a lot of North Shore. What's your opinion on skinnies? The reason why I haven't been on the North Shore much is because I live in Squamish, and I try to reduce my driving and my traveling in order to go and ride, just because I'm aware of the impact I have on environment, and I'm trying to reduce it, which is why I don't go super often those places. I go to Pemberton maybe 3-4 times a year, even though it's not too far. And I have planned to go to Vancouver. I was waiting for a new bike because I'm gonna film a trail preview with Wet Simons. Once again, with the situation, it's gonna be in standby, but I will go and ride North Vancouver soon. Would you want to improve your English accent, or you don't really give a fuck? I don't give a fuck. No, I think my English accent is, good enough, and I speak French, Spanish, and English, and I think that accents, no one really complains about it. As long as you can understand me, that's okay. Are you planning to coming to Switzerland at any plans? Saleh, Verbier, etc. I would love to. I was actually considering making a trip to Europe this summer. So same, it's not gonna happen this summer, hopefully the next one. But yes, I've planned to go to Switzerland. Basically, I'm trying to, do as much as I can here locally, and then I will export a strap review project overseas. Do you think that it's better to start riding with a hardtail bike or double suspension bike? I start doing enduro with an XC hardtail. Well, riding a hardtail bike is definitely harder. So if you can learn basics on an hardtail, your progression is just gonna be faster when you're gonna move to a bike that's more, a better design for what you're doing. So I think it's pretty good if you start working on your basing with your hardtail, have fun with it, and then when the bike is not enough anymore, just move on to a proper trail bike. Do you and Johan have baguette parties? No, we don't. How do you get the best out of your brakes? Which brakes do you ride? So I ride the Hayes Dominion A4, so the 4th piston brake from Hayes. It's basically the lightest feel you can get on the market. Excellent modulation. They come with 2 different brake pads, and I ride the Sinter brake pads, which I find are a little bit more powerful. And yeah, I mean, if you're I guess your question is how you get the best performance out of your brakes. Obviously, make sure they bled properly, but it's fairly easy to do. The best thing is make sure your disc is clean. Never spread any oil or anything on your disc. Also, make sure you bed in your brake pads properly. So when I get a new bike, what I do is that I don't straight go on a double black trail. I ride on a parking lot for quite a while. I slowly brake, and I get the brake pads to bed in, so then they will perform better during their lifetime. Question from Sam Bradford. What's your plan if bike park doesn't open in the summer, still staying in Squamish? Well, hopefully bike park is gonna open. Obviously it's gonna be tough, but I truly hope it's gonna open. Obviously the situation keeps going this way, I'll be stuck in Squamish, which is not a bad place to be stuck. I will not be staying in Squamish because I don't want to risk any kind of injuries because health workers are already overwhelmed, and it would be selfish for me to go and do gnarly stuff. So I'll keep promoting the brand that's supporting me, but I will turn down the riding. I'll do more tutorial videos and more, sharing experience about the product. And I'll find a way to make it work. And, I hope you guys will understand that it will be selfish and irresponsible for me to go and do gnarly stuff at this time. But as soon as the situation is over, don't worry, I'll come back to it. That's what I enjoy doing. So, Boneless, I'm from Van, BC. I want to start freeriding mountain biking. I've road bike and BMX experience. Any thoughts on a great bike to start? I'm 200 pounds, 6'1", mid-high price. So if you're from Vancouver, you're gonna ride the North Shore, you're gonna ride Squamish, you're gonna ride Pemberton, Whistler. So what you want to look for is, I guess, a big trail bike / enduro bike. So it's gonna be 150, 160 millimeter travel, even 160, 170. You're 6'1", so you're tall enough to ride a 29er bike. I think most brands are shifting to 29, and there is more offer on 29ers these days. So I'll probably send you on a 29er bike. I don't know what mid-high price is. If it's gonna be your first bike, it's a good thing. You can look at a used bike. There is plenty of good deals out there. Obviously, I ride for Cube. So if you had to get a Cube bike for you, 6'1", I'll probably get a Cube Stereo 150, which is a 150, 160. That's the bike I ride the most here in Squamish. It's, well-designed, super balanced bike that fits really well the sea to sky corridor. And I guess you could be on a size 22, which is extra large, because 6'1", I believe, is 1.85 m, if I'm correct. So depending on how long are your legs, you could be maybe on a 22, maybe on a 20. You'll have to send me more information to give you a proper answer, but they have bikes that are well priced. So have a look. What is the biggest difference between 2-piston brakes and 4-piston? Well, 4-piston means that usually the brake pads are wider, so that means more endurance, also a bit more power because you get more contact on your brake pads on the disc. So yeah, I've just been riding 4-pistons for the longest time. I don't really ride any 2-pistons anymore. Have you done the Governator? No, I haven't. I wanted to go, but a young lady crashed on it and unfortunately passed away. And by respect for her and her family, I haven't gone back to do it. What advice can you give me to ride more safely and fast? I've done a video about safety actually that you should check, but it's, once again, looking ahead is really important. The second thing, I didn't mention it prior, but analyzing is extremely important. Try to analyze what you do in order to progress. If you want to get better at mountain biking, you need to look at what you are doing and you need to analyze it and see how you could improve it. And that's going to be the best way. So get one of your friends to film you, film yourself, put your phone on the side of the trail and analyze your position, compare it to videos of, better rider or like pro rider, look at some Enduro World Series footage, World Cup racing footage, and analyze how the top rider rides their bike. And that way, you're gonna pick up little things that they do that should give you like good tips on how to do. I also highly encourage you to, if you can afford it, get a coach. It's really important, especially if you feel like you're stuck with your progression. Ask a professional to coach you. So there's plenty of, depending, I don't know where you live, but if you live in Squamish or Whistler, and Whistler, for example, there is Zep Technique. So Paul is an incredible coach, and what he will do is, depending on your level, he will assess your level and really look at the basics and the little tips you need in order to take your level to the next level. So that's, I guess, that's the best tip I have for you. More risk you take, the happier sponsor are, more money. True or false? That's true. Yeah, that's true. If I take more risk and come up with more creative line and I do gnarlier stuff, I probably will get more views. Not on YouTube, because YouTube is quite different. You can do, some YouTubers are beginners mountain biker and they do a really good work of creating content and getting people interested. And even though their level doesn't follow up, they do get a ton of views. But I guess you're more valuable if you do gnarlier stuff on your bike, because you send that image to people that's like, this is what you can do with the bike. So when I'm riding, product, either it's TVO suspension or haze brakes or, E13 tires or cube bikes, when I push the limit of what can be done with the bike and I come up with a new line, or, I do a new gap, or I go faster, or anything like that, it shows that the product performs better. If I show the product that performs better, and if people understand that, well, this guy just did that because his bike is performing well, that makes it more valuable for sponsors, and obviously my paycheck can go higher. Amazing channel. I found amazing channel. I found Jolbo Rush Reactive from you. Tips on bike, ship your bike on plane. Sorry, tips on a bike to ship your bike on a plane. Sorry, I can't read today. So yeah, thanks for the glasses. So the Jolbo Rush are the glasses I'm using. I use the Rush and the Fury, and I really like the Rush because they have a photochromic lens, which means the tint changes depending on the light. So that's really cool, especially for summer when it's extremely sunny. You can be on the Alpine and you need the sunglasses, and then you come down in the forest and you want like a clear lens. So that's really good for that. So the Rush is really good. I really like the Fury as well. It's a bit lighter, a bit more simple, but really good coverage as well. Regarding the bike I used a douchebag Savage bike bag. So it's heavier than a cardboard box, but what it does is that it protects your bike and it has wheels. So it's easier to carry, it protects your bike, it looks better, and it doesn't get damaged. A cardboard box, sometimes it happened to me to fly from Canada to Peru, and when I get to Peru, my cardboard box is absolutely destroyed. My bike is damaged, and on the way back, I need to find a new cardboard box because my box has been too damaged to fly again. And sometimes if it's raining, which happened to me, when you're in transit, when they take your bike box from one plane to another, sometimes your box sits out, and if it's pouring rain, well, your cardboard box gets soaked, and then it all tears apart. So, would you consider doing a trail preview video on the sort of trails you ride now on a rigid or hardtail bike with the right geometry, of course? Cube has cross-country bike, and I haven't ordered one because I would own one if I was living in a different place in the world. But with where I live in Squamish, they don't have a proper trail bike hardtail, and it's not really something I really enjoy riding. I like the comfort of a full suspension bike. So I didn't order one. So I don't own one. If I did own one, I could surely do it. Hey Remy, I'm looking to buy a Cube Stereo 150 C62. How good is it at pedaling up in and doing longer rides? So one of the point where the Cube bike excels is on the weight and pedaling performance. Bike pedals really well. It has great geometry. You sit you don't sit too far back like some bikes. So you have a very neutral position. It's really light, and the suspension is really effective when pedaling. So definitely for longer rides, it will help compared to a bike that's a bit more plushy and uses more energy to move. I have a question about. Can't really understand this question. Well, it's regarding a product that I've never ridden, so I will not be able to help you anyway, unfortunately. For you, is mountain bike more of a mental game or a technical game? When you were a beginner, what was your biggest struggle, fear or engagement or lack of technique? That's a good question. I guess you need to perform as a professional mountain biker. You need to have the mental game as well as the technical game. The technical game obviously is extremely needed. Some people have a strong mental game and not enough techniques. Those people usually end up just sending it and not being super skilled and super calculated. And I don't want to be one of those guys. So your technique has to be on point, but your mental game as well. You need to be confident, and confidence comes with experience and with pushing yourself. So, for example, with the current situation of the coronavirus, I'm riding slow. I don't take any risk. I just ride to go out and have fun on the bike. So while I'm doing that, I don't push. So 3 months from now, if the situation gets better and we can go back to riding normally, it's gonna be, the shift is not gonna happen like this. I will be definitely more cautious because for 3 months I will not have ridden hard. So I guess your mental game is extremely important, but the way you can have a strong mental game and the way you can be confident is basically when you're gonna be super dialed with your technique and with your riding position and with your trail scan, and when you control all that and you feel confident doing that, that's when your mental game is gonna get better and better. When gonna go back on a downhill bike? So I actually have a new bike from Cubes that should be somewhere on its way. With the coronavirus, you can imagine that a lot of companies are slower to send parts. because factories have stopped producing, and so that bike, I'm gonna receive the prototype. I'll probably be the first guy to have it. But the way it works, so Cube has made the design of the bike. We check the geometry, everything is good. They make like a plastic mold to make sure everything looks good, and then they send the first prototype to production. They produce it, but then they have to test it. So they have to test how reliable is the bike. So they test it on machine, make sure it doesn't fail. So as you can imagine, it takes a lot of time to start producing a new bike, because once you've been producing the bike for 2 years, it's really easy. The company knows how to make the bike. When it's a brand new frame, they look at the design on the computer and they have to turn it into a proper bike. It's more complicated, so there's more stuff that can go wrong. So it takes way more time. So there is way more step. And then you have the testing part. And then when everything is good, they got to retest it. They got to do it, retest it, and then ship it to me. Or ship it to Cube. Cube has to paint it and then ship it to me. So you can guess it takes a lot of time. So that's what currently Cube is doing. But because of the coronavirus, everything is delayed. So I should have had the bike by now. With the coronavirus, we'll see how long it takes. But you'll see me on a downhill bike again very soon, I hope. I still have my old downhill bike. I just haven't bothered using it because I have so much fun on the trail bike right now. And it's winter and we can't really take risk. And there is no bike park open, so that's why I haven't ridden it. One up bars compared to the other. Suppose built-in flex, does it make a noticeable difference? First question. Second question, DVO fork, how plush are they compared to the rest, I believe. So the one up bars are designed a certain way that they can flex, and basically you can remove some stress on your arms just by having a bar that's compliant with the terrain. I can tell a difference from riding 35mm aluminum bars. It's definitely a bit more flex, but I don't notice it as a negative. I only notice it as a positive. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts on the bike, but I really appreciate the fact that it doesn't feel like just a bar of steel. It's compliant, and I just find it more comfortable. And one point I really like is the shape of it. It comes in 35mm rise, which not many brands do, and I really enjoy the shape of the bar. 5-degree up sweep and 8-degree back sweep is really good for me. So I've been really liking it. And the DVO, how plush is it? It can be really plush or quite stiff depending how you want it. You can change the progressivity, the low speed and the high speed settings are working really good. And one thing I really like is that there is a OTT, which stands for off the top, which is a sensitivity setting. So depending so there's 14 turns, depending how many turns you put on it, you can make the fork more or less plush on the first part of the travel. So basically the first couple of inches does make a difference. And I run mine kind of on the middle. So I guess not too plush. Between a Steel 150 and a Steel 170 for an enduro riding all year long and downhill riding during the summer. If you're gonna do downhill riding, potentially some bike park, I'll go for a 170, but that's my personal choice. It really depends where you live. If you live somewhere in Europe where it's pretty flat, not much rocks, kind of easy flowy trails, a 150 will be plenty. But if you live somewhere where it's gnarly downhill, big rock faces, big lots of roots, lots of rocks, so 170 is definitely more comfortable. But obviously it's a bigger bike, so it doesn't pedal as well. So you got to pick, what you prefer. Whoa. Okay. Other question. So we get this one done. Do you have any tips for wheelies? No, I don't. Wheelies is something that you can practice every single day. You can practice it basically anywhere. All you need is some flat ground. If you really struggle with it, you can put a mark on the ground so you know where to start your wheelie, and you try to have some stuff on the ground a bit further, so you can kind of have an objective of where you want to drop your wheel. Look ahead. That's really a lot of people when they wheelie, because finding the balance, usually you're not gonna land on your back, because you're always gonna have one finger on your brake. A lot of people struggle to keep the balance and go in a straight line. So in order to do that, you want to look ahead. So you find a neutral position, you compress on your bike, and then use your core, put your weight far back, but keep looking far away, so that way you got a good balance. How old am I? I'm 29 years old. So I started biking pretty late, as you can guess. Next year, I will get into Junior World Cup. Do you have any tips for me to get sponsors? Well, as a Junior World Cup, it's pretty tough. The best you can do, I think, at that level is to, obviously, I assume you've done, local and national races. And if you've done a good job with it, you can just focus on maybe creating relationship with local distributor. So whatever brand of bike and components you have, try to work with your distributor, because unless you are an elite rider and on the top elites, or on the very top of the junior World Cup rider, which you might be, and I hope you will, you don't really have any value for international brand yet. So focus on creating a good relationship with local businesses, local brands, and then once you get faster on the bike, and once you get more competitive, then you'll have sponsorship opportunities coming along. But one tips I have for you is keep it very professional and always very respectful to the people you work with. Don't forget that behind every brand there's people, so you always want to be very respectful of their time and of their work, so people enjoy working with you. Do you still crash oftenly when you are trying new tricks in other times than the COVID-19? Well, I don't really do much tricks, and I like to think that I don't crash much. I try to only do stuff that I know I'm gonna do. A lot of the lines I do are really high consequence. If I think I might crash, I just don't attempt them, because I don't want to risk career-ending injuries. How tall do you think a person should be to effectively ride a 29er? It depends what kind of riding. For aggressive trail riding, I believe 29ers are made for people that are, let's say, above 1.75 m, so like 5'9", even 5'10". For trail riding, I think anyone, like slow trail riding, anyone above 5'7" is fine. And for cross country, I guess 5'4" and above, you'll be fine on 29er. What question do we have here? Will you do any videos of you learning new tricks for Rampage? No, not really. The only tricks I really try to focus on style more than tricks. I feel like I've kind of missed the boat of tricks. In order to learn new tricks, I feel like I should have learned earlier, and I just find it's a bit too late for me, and I just don't enjoy it anyway. I just focus on trail riding and being creative with lines instead of being creative with tricks. So you probably won't see me doing any trick video on Rampage. You might see me doing a flip here and there, but that's about it. Goggles or glasses? So goggles with a full face helmet, glasses with half lid helmet. Hi Remy, I saw your trail preview. Which one is your favorite one, and why Cop Killer was amazing? I guess my favorite ones was the one with Kirk McDowell. He finished 16th at World Champs in Elite Downhill on the track of Mont Saint-Anne, which is incredible. He got some top 12, and I guess he got 4th or even 3rd at the Crankworks Downhill. So he's obviously an amazing rider. and I guess he was the best rider I did a trail preview with. His riding was just incredible. So for me, it was more fun. We were going fast. Maybe it doesn't sound on the video, but we're going fast. And so the way we do is that we do one lap with the e-bike before, just to check the trail, make sure there is no trees down, make sure there is no dangerous rocks, no slide on the trail, nothing dangerous. We do a little bit of trail maintenance if there is a need to, and then we ride the trail. And yeah, I think we were riding really fast, and I had a lot of fun. The reason why I could ride that close from him is because the trail didn't have that many features on it, that many rocks, that many line choices. It's kind of wide for being a technical trail, so I could be super tight on it. I've done some trail previews in France where I didn't know the trail and where it's like rock gardens everywhere, and riding that close from someone at high speed was just not possible. So we had to turn down the speed. But I guess that's why I like the video I've done with Kirk that much, and I actually plan more video with him. Once COVID-19 is done, but there's one place, I'm not gonna say it on here, but it's somewhere in BC where I've ridden once, one day before, and I've only done one lap. So most of the trail we're gonna do will be completely blind for me, and I'm very excited. It's fast and flowy, and it's gonna be really cool. So as soon as I can do it, I'm sure you'll love those videos if you love the one of Cop Killer. Where do you feel your riding career is at right now? Do you see your future more in YouTube and trail videos, or on riding big contests of races? So I feel like I'm currently riding the best I've ever been riding, especially end of last year. That was definitely the strongest I've been as a rider. I was the most confident on my trail bike. On my downhill bike, I went to the Marzocchi Proving Ground with some of the best riders in the world to try to qualify for Rampage again. And I think I was just super dialed on the bike. I landed every single jumps perfect. My no-hander on drops were I think really good, and I was very precise. I didn't overshoot or case any single jump. I was really dialed. So I felt really good. So I definitely feel like my career is still going really strong. Financially this year, well, we'll see with coronavirus, but financially this is my best year, and 2021 should be better. Obviously with coronavirus, everything is in standby, as you can guess, and it's gonna be really hard because I make money from sponsors. If that economic crisis goes for a long time and sponsors are not able to sell, are not able to pay their cost of production, etc., sponsor riders are not gonna get paid. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I feel really confident in my riding right now, and I feel like people have really enjoyed it. I've had more fun riding this year, last year and this year, than I did in the past, which is for me really important. I think there is definitely a future with trail videos for me, because people enjoy it, and I enjoy doing it. It doesn't really feel like work for me, so it's definitely something I'm gonna be focusing on. But I'm still gonna focus on producing a couple of trail bike videos and downhill videos. So yeah, and in terms of racing, I'm gonna focus on urban downhill racing only. In 2018, I won Puerto Vallarta urban downhill race in front of some of the best guys in the world. And in end of 2017, which is not long ago, that was 2 years ago, 2 years and a half ago, I won. What did I won? The Taxo Urban Downhill, which is one of the top urban downhill race. I'm actually gonna repost my race run in the next couple of days, just because it was by far the best race run I've ever done. Everything was dialed. There were 2 runs in during the day, and I won both of the runs, and they were taking best time of the 2. But I won the 2 runs by 2 seconds on a 1 minute track. On a 1 minute. I think it was 1 minute 40 track in front of Bernardo Cruz, Bernard Kerr, Thomas Slavic, all those really strong guys. So I was really stoked on that, and I feel like my riding has been really good. I went to a race in Colombia. Unfortunately, I crashed, but I think I was in a good position to do really good. Thomas Lavik would have won. I think he was slightly ahead when I crashed, like about half a second, but I think I pretty could have got second. I felt really good, and yeah, so I'm still gonna be pushing. So keep an eye for that. But that was a really good question. Can you do an impression of an English person? With my accent, we're not gonna go very far. Do you prefer technical and slow trail or fast and easy trails? I like fast and easy trails, but I like also steep, gnarly technical trails. I don't like slow, flat technical. I like when it's really steep and gnarly or really fast and flowy. I don't really like the in-between. So I don't know if you know Squamish a little, but if you take like trails like end trails, the flat, awkward section of end trail, I absolutely hate it. But whenever it's fast and flowy, I really like it, or really gnarly. For a steep rock wall, where should you have most of your braking power, front or back? On a rock wall that's really steep, if you just use your rear brake, what you're gonna do is that you're just gonna skid and you're barely gonna lose any speed. So your front brake is gonna be crucial. What you want to do is make yourself as heavy as possible. So when you brake with your front brake, you can keep the bike on the ground. And if you make yourself heavy, the bike is just gonna like stay on the ground and actually be able to slow down. Whereas if you make yourself light by being tall and not pushing on the bike, when you brake, your bike is just gonna move in the same direction on the rock face. So you want to be as heavy as you can. Have you ever tried a mullet bike? Yes, I did. What's your wheel size on the Stereo 150? I'm on the 29 wheels. Hey man, tech questions. So that's from Sander Tackenberg. I was wondering how much pressure you have on your bar when initially cornering. That's a good question. I guess I'm trying to have little pressure on my bars when I'm just rolling, because that way I can rest my hands. But when I go on a corner, I actually initiating the corner before I'm actually turning. I don't have that much weight on it unless I'm braking. Because you're supposed to brake before your corners. If I'm braking, so let's say it's a left-hand corner, when you come really fast and you have to brake, you want to brake before the corner. So I'm gonna brake, and when I brake, in order to make sure that the bike doesn't wash out and in order to be the most efficient possible at braking, I'm gonna make myself as heavy as I can, which means I'm gonna have a lot of pressure pushing down my handlebars and pushing down the entire bike. So I brake a lot and then I let go. If it's a corner that has support or any kind of corner, to get grip, you want to have weight on it. So I guess I have quite a lot of weight once I'm inside the corner. If it's a corner that's coming that doesn't require any braking, let's say some of the corner on a blue track where it's pretty flat where you don't need to brake before, I usually try to relax, make myself light, and only push inside the corner. That's a really good question, actually. It's obviously hard to explain here on the camera, but on the bike, I'm sure you could visualize it a little bit more. Do you know anything about the new 215 carbon? Yes, I do know a lot of things about it, but you'll have to wait a little. Who's your favorite person to call to go riding? There's many people. I guess it depends what kind of trails. I usually use biking because when I ride downhill, I'm usually by myself. If I'm trying to push, I like to be alone on the trail. I don't really like to follow. I only follow during trail previous video normally. Most of the time, if I ride with a fast friend, unless it's lazy bike park laps where we know the trail by heart and we just cruise. A lot of time I'm riding by myself. basically my favorite person to go riding with are my friends, because when we go uphill, we just chat and have friends conversation. Outside of that, well, I guess like, the better rider I ride with, the most fun it is, the most entertaining it is for me. When I ride with guys like, Forrest Riesco, Kirk McDowell, Johan, Dylan Forbes, like, basically any person I sometimes ride with, like, it's obviously a lot of fun. It's really it's always. Sorry, I get a call at the same time. Let me check. Maybe it's my fork from FedEx. Oops, sorry. I don't know. Hopefully it's my forks. So yeah, I guess those riders that are extremely talented and extremely skilled are, like really fun to ride with. So yeah, I guess that's it for that question. Want to buy my first enduro bike? What's the most important thing to look at? Oh, sorry, that's a ton of call. I guess the most important thing for you to look at when buying a new enduro bike is make sure you buy the right size. Sounds obvious, but whatever bike you buy, you can buy a $14,000 bike. If you buy it too big or too small, you're not gonna like it. So make sure you buy the right size. Make some research. Ask the brands, like ask for tips, and make sure you buy the right size. Make sure also you buy a trail bike that's suitable for your riding skill, your riding level, and where you ride. If you ride on, let's say in Belgium, where it's pretty flat, there's not big rocks, and you get a big 170 bike for your everyday pedaling, where you mostly ride like super smooth single track, you might not enjoy it. If you buy a smaller trail bike and you just ride gnarly terrain, you might find it not enough travel. So make some research and buy a bike that's adapted for you. And I guess the equipment is something you can always upgrade. So if you don't like the brakes, it's okay, you can always change it. If you don't like the frame because it's too small or because it's not made for what you want to do, then that's gonna be tricky to change. So make sure you get the right sizing and the right bike for what you want to do. So going back to some of the question, I'm going back down. Yeah, I guess that's gonna be about it. I'm gonna see if there is not any question from the top I missed. Thanks for answering. Glad you are loving Squamton. Yeah, Squamton is how people call Squamish. Absolutely love Squamish. Have you ridden in any other province in Canada? If so, where? Sorry, if so, where or where do you want to go and ride? That's a good question. No, I haven't ridden anywhere else in Canada than BC. I guess most of the riding I would like to do is BC. I've been invited to go to Quebec, which I would like to go, and I will go in the future. I heard there's plenty of cool trails. Sentier du Moulin is one of the places I'd like to check. If anyone is from Quebec here, I'm supposed to go at some point, so I will. I guess Yukon could be something, like up north could be something that I will really enjoy. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. And I know Ontario, and like, I'm sure it's great, but it's pretty flat. BC is supposed to be kind of the mecca of mountain biking, so I don't think it does compete, but I'm sure they have some really good trail up there. But I haven't planned to make a trip up there. Would you like to improve your accent, or you don't really care about it? I mean, if I could have a perfect English accent, obviously I won't complain about it. But I'm sure as you can guess, I'm trying to improve it. It's just not very just not very easy actually. Ideas of things. Sorry. So this one is for VTT entre potes. It's in French, but I'm gonna translate it. Ideas of what to do during the lockdown. Well, it's tough for everyone. Work on your bike, do some mechanic, make sure your bike is dialed so when the confinement is over, you can enjoy riding it. Do some stretching. If you're a mountain biker, most likely your muscle, your joints, everything is pretty tight. So do stretch. Work on some core, because if you don't exercise as much, obviously you're gonna lose muscle, especially core. So yeah, watch some YouTube videos, read some books, which I don't do, and I should. Learn some new stuff, and keep social distance. That's really about it. Spend time with your your family or your girlfriend. Cook. Learn how to cook. That's learn how to make new meals. That would be a good one. I guess that's pretty much it. I'd like to thank everyone for joining. It's pretty difficult to talk to myself, basically, because all I can see on the screen is myself, and it's kind of awkward. But yeah, I hope I answered most of your questions. If you have anything else, make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. And yeah, I would love to do that again. If you have other questions, stuff you want me to be talking about, just write me in the next videos in the comments, and let's do that again. Let's make it a weekly thing or something. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.